Okay, we're live. Oh, goodness. We are live after a long weekend and a long Monday. And we'll see if anyone joins. But it doesn't really matter because we're reading Paul Verlaine and Poems Under Saturn once more, which is exciting. Um, Substack says my internet connection is unstable, but I disagree. My internet connection is just fine. As usual, we have wine, and water. And I do not know for how long we will stream, we'll read, but I would like to get through this next section called etchings. So last time we read Melancholia, um, and it was melancholy, and I feel like etchings is a slightly more abstract title for a poetry section. So we'll see. Thank you for joining, Nima. I appreciate you. And this section is dedicated to Francois Capet. I hope I didn't butcher that. Poem 1, Parisian Sketch. The moon plated its shades of zinc in blunted angles. Shaped like a five, the wisps of smoke poured thick and black from the high gables. The sky was gray. The north wind wept like a bassoon. In the distance, a shivering, wary tomcat howled in a strange, shrill fashion. Gliding soundless, the slut and the murderer lay in wait beside houses for the silvery step of the gambler and the teenager who tastes every fruit. Me, I went along dreaming of sublime Plato and of Fides, of salamis and of marathon too, under the flickering eye of the blue jets of gas. Poem 2, Nightmare. In my dream there hastened, like a tempest across the strand, holding an hourglass in one hand and a sword in the other, this Ritter, out of a ballad from Germany, whom across town and country, from forest to valley, from river to mountain, a stallion. Flame red and black as ebony, without bridle or bit or any rein, no hop, no riding whip, carries away, with a smothered rattling as, always, always, a great felt hat with a long feather, shaded his eye after, which kindles and snuffs rather, the way a firearm in the fog claps out, and dies in a blue light, like the wing of an osprey, frightened by the storm's sudden fury. Through the air, scored and snowy, his cloak ballooned, snapping in the wind. With an air of glory to show in the black night a torso made of ivory and shadow, gleaming among shrill cries with 32 teeth. I'm beginning to understand what he means by etchings. They're just little still lives almost in his poems. Um, just scenes, small scenes etched out into his paper. Um, and the first two were decent. We'll move on to Marine. Thank you for joining, Adam. I appreciate it. We are reading Paul Verlaine, the 19th century French poet who had a love affair with Arthur Rimbaud, if anyone knows the history of that, which was crazy because he was like 20 years his junior. Or Verlaine was 20 years older than him or something. Nuts. And that's not problematic, so to say. But Rimbaud was like 14. Just a weird poetry scene going on in turn of the century France. Those pesky modernists. Okay. Poem 3, Marine. The sounding ocean throbs beneath the eye of the moon veiled darkly, and throbs again, while a violent, sinister lightning bolt, its long zigzag, brilliant, slits a sky of bistre. And each wave, in convulsive bounds, goes, comes, shouts, glistens the length of reefs, and the sky where the tempest rages, the thunder roars terrifyingly. Poem 4, Night Effect. Night, rain, a livid sky pierces the lacework of spires and towers, the silhouette of a Gothic town dim in the gray distance, the plain, a gibbet full of corpses, shriveled ones, shaken by the crows' avid beaks. In the black air dancing incomparable gigues, while their feet are the provender of wolves. Some thin thorn bushes and some holly leaves. To the right and left extend the horror of their foliage against a background like a sooty jumbled sketch. And then, surrounding 3 pale prisoners, walking barefoot, 225 halberdiers, their shining upright weapons at cross purposes, with the lances of the rain like the spikes of a portcullis. It's probably the best poem in this segment so far. So visceral. He uses avid really well. The crow's avid beaks. Everything's so macabre and dark and grim. He kind of takes us back to a gothic sense of things, even though we're a bit beyond that at this time period. Um, Fascinating. Speaking of, poem 5 is called Grotesques. Conveyed by their own 2 legs, all their wealth in the gold of their glance. They travel, wild-looking, dressed in rags, down the avenue of incidents. The indignant wise man harangues. The fool pities these risky madmen. The children stick out their tongues, and the girls mock them to scorn. It is because, inspiring hatred, ridiculous, a baleful influence, indeed. They seem, in the twilight hours, like a bad dream someone had. It is because they strum strange songs, nostalgic, rebellious, on their bitter guitars in freedom, while singing through the nose. Finally, it is because in their eyes, tedious, their laughs and weeps, a love of those long dead, ancient deities, of things eternity keeps. So away with you, unresting vagabonds. Wander baneful and cursed away down the length of chasms and strands under paradise's closed eye. Nature and man are one to punish the proud melancholy, as it must be done that makes you walk with your head held high, and avenging on you the blasphemy of hopes vast and vehement. With the rude shock of the sky, they bruise your banished front. Junes burn and Decembers freeze your flesh solid, and fever overcomes your limbs, which are torn by the reeds. Everything wounds you and pushes you away, and when death comes for you, your corpse will be so cold and scrawny, the wolves will scorn it too. Whew, it's brutal. And that was grotesques. So our etchings are all grotesque, kind of dreary and nightmarish things. And now, really improving, we'd move on to sad landscapes. Feeling really optimistic about this one. All right. Section is called Sad Landscapes, and the first poem is called Sunsets. Spilled through the feeble. Wait, sorry. I'm reading a line ahead. Let me restart. Poem 1, Sunsets. Spilled through the meadow by an enfeebled dawn, the melancholy of setting suns, melancholy, rocks my heart to oblivion with sweet melody amid setting suns and strange dreams like suns setting, ruddy phantoms over shores passing unceasingly, passing like some huge suns like them over shores setting. Not the bravest poem, but ruddy phantoms is a fantastic image, and that stands out. I'll be remembering that. Ruddy phantoms. I'd also like to note that Verlaine published this at 22, which is quite the achievement for a 22-year-old. Because these are of good quality and really well informed, well thought out, um, with a good basis of classic reference. Although maybe he overdoes it from time to time. But you can accuse T.S. Eliot of the same thing, so what's really the comment there? Poem 2, Mystical Dusk. Twilight together with memory glows and trembles on the burning horizon of hope in a flame that falls away, then leaps up like a mysterious wall on which many a flower in season, dahlia, tulip, buttercup, and lily, springs up in a trellis amid the unhealthy fragrances, the exultation of heavy hot smells from which the poison, dahlia, tulip, buttercup, and lily, drowning my senses, my spirit, and my reason, mixes in a single immense swoon, twilight together with memory. He leans on repetition quite frequently, but that was fun. It had a good cadence to it. And I think credit to the translator, Carl Kirchway. He did form some poems here that are fun to read with good rhymes, not forced rhymes, good tempos and cadences. And I wish I could read French because I'd love to read these in the original French. But I can't and I won't try. And that's probably a character deficiency on my part, but we move. Ricardo, I'm so glad you're here. Ricardo Guzman, everyone. Poem 3, Sentimental Stroll. The setting sun casts its final rays, and the breeze rocked the pale water lilies. Among the reeds, the huge water lilies shone sadly on the calm water. Me, I wandered alone, walking my wound through the willow grove, the length of the pond, where the vague mist conjured up some vast, despairing, milky ghost. With the voice of teals crying, as they called to each other, beating their wings through the willow grove where I alone wandered, walking my wound, and the thick shroud of shadows came to drown the final rays of the setting sun in their pale waves. Lilies, the huge water lilies, on the calm water. I feel like that was an ekphrastic poem responding to Claude Monet's painting that has a bunch of water lilies on it. But I'm not going to jump to conclusions. Brother Rob is with us. Thanks for joining. I don't know how to pronounce this word, frankly, but I'm going to try. It's a German word, I believe. So, Ricardo, your favorite poem is you've ever written is about Monet? I think I read that one. Um, that wasn't too long ago, was it? I feel like I recall it. Is that the one you shared in the Right Conscious um, journal entry comment section? Because I read that recently. Okay, yeah, I liked that poem. Um, Poem 4 in this section, which is called Sad Landscapes. Classic Walpurgisnacht. Walpurgisnacht. Okay, I've got the word now. Walpurgisnacht. It's the Sabbath of Faust Part 2 rather than the other. A rhythmical Sabbath. Rhythmical, extremely rhythmical. Imagine a garden by Lenotre. Ridiculous, charming, and seemly. A hub of paths, fountains, straight alleys, forest gods of marble, and bronze marine gods. Here and there, Venuses on display, quincunx like and bowling green, chestnuts in a hillock, seedling flowers. Here, dwarf rose bushes pruned by a learned taste. Further off, the yews' toppery isosceles. Over all this, the moonlight of August. Midnight strikes and wakes in the depths of the royal park, a melancholy air, a heavy, slow, and sweet air, a hunter's air, sweet, slow, heavy, melancholy, comparable to the hunter's air from Tannhauser. Husky songs of distant horns, in which the tenderness of the senses clasps the terror of the soul in intervals, harmlessly dissonant in their drunkenness, and there, in response to the horns' call, white shapes suddenly intertwine, translucent, which, amid the green shadow of branches, the moonlight makes opaline. Raffet's dream of Watteau, intertwined amid the trees' green shadow, with a languid gesture full of deep despair, then dancing in a circle very slow, around the shrubs, the bronze and marble sculpture. These restless ghosts, are they the thinking of the drunken poet, his regret, his remorse, or instead, these restless ghosts in a rhythmical throng, are they simply the dead? Is it your remorse, O dreamer, that conjures this horror, or your regret, or your thought? Eh, all these ghosts restless with a compelling fever, or is it the dead who would be crazy? It doesn't matter. Always these feverish phantoms, leading their vast round dance, sad and tossing like dust motes caught in sunbeams, in a damp, pallid moment disappearing, when dawn extinguishes the horns one after the other, so that there remains absolutely nothing more absolutely than a garden by the Lenotre, ridiculous, charming, and seemly. These poems are awfully circular. They end where they begin, that's for sure. Or, sorry, to quote T.S. Eliot, in my end is my beginning. Yeah, that was a lovely poem. We start off with a Faust reference. And I've been meaning to read Faust. It's sitting right there, right behind the camera. And I'm scared of it. So It remained sat there. And thank you, Ricardo. That was a tricky poem to read as well. Sometimes the rhythm just wasn't quite right for my tongue. Mhm. Poem 5, Autumn Song. The long sobbing of autumn strings grievous wounds in my heart with a languor that is monotonous. Stifled and pallid, when the hour rings, I summon days long gone with my weeping. And then I go on an ill wind to carry me off here and there in just the manner of a dead leaf. Hmm, that was pretty. Poem 6, Evening Star. On the misty horizon, the moon is red. The meadow, in a shifting fog, dozes smokily, and the frog calls from the shivering green reed. The water flowers again close their faces. The poplars are in silhouette far away, their dim shapes straight and set closely toward the thicket wander of fireflies. The barn owls awaken and, silent, o'er the black air with their heavy wings, and the zenith fills with dull glimmerings. Pale Venus rises, and it is night. That was a pretty poem as well. I like the double meaning at the end between Venus the planet and Venus the goddess rising in the night. Hmm. Poem 7, The Nightingale. Like a troubled flock of birds when they cry, all my memories fall on me. They fall amid the yellow leaves of my heart, gazing at its alder trunk bent in the silver mirror back of the water, of regret that flows melancholy and near. They fall, and the evil murmur that is calmed by the rise of sticky breeze is subdued by a bit in the woods so well that after a moment one hears nothing at all, nothing more than the voice that is extolling the absent, nothing more, oh so languishing, than the voice of my first love, the bird, singing still as on that first day it did, and in the sad splendor of a moon, rising pallid and solemn, a heavy melancholy night in summer, full of silence and what is obscure, rocks on the azure, a breeze brushes with fingertips, the tree that trembles and the bird that weeps. Hmm. That ends the section Sad Landscapes, or more poetically, Paysages Tristes, um, in my poor French pronunciation. My tongue is heavy today. Goodness. The next section is called Caprices, which is interesting. Oh, sorry. Yes. And it is dedicated to Henry Winter. Well, goodness. Here's where we start. Poem 1, Woman and Pussy. She was playing with her pussycat, and to see it was a wonder. The white hand and the paw, white, romp in the night's umber. She concealed the skank, her agate nails of murder. Beneath those half gloves is black, cutting and bright as a razor. She was all sweetness, too, the other one, and drew in her steel talon. But the devil lost nothing by waiting. And in the boudoir, as tuned and aerial, her laughter rang. 4 points of phosphor burned. Well, cool. Um, we're not getting any less divisive with the next poem called Jesuitism. All right. I'm starting to like this Verlaine. He was a character. Um, Thank you for joining us, Milo Davila. Glad to have you. Hmm. Poem 2 in Caprices. Jesuitism. The ill humor that kills me is ironic and blends sarcasm and anguish and never torments, honestly, but stings me with a false smile and changes my agony into an amusing spectacle, and on the bier where my half-rotten dream lies. To the tune of Traderi, it roars out a de profundis. It is Tartuffe who, while arranging pompon roses around the altars of sullen Madonnas, while making choir boys sing hymns like lukewarm water for the heart's bathing, while starching those loving chemisettes that wind around the sacred heart of the blessed, while telling the rosary in a low voice, or while raising a hand toward his little caller, while speaking a great show of dignity of the soul, ponders no less my ruin, unspeakable. Cortez is joined. Cortez, we are reading Verlaine, and he wrote this book when he was 22, so he had not yet fallen in love with Rimbaud. Um, Tragically, this is pre-Rimbaud. Um, so he's without his muse, problematically, maybe. Um, and we get to read poem 3 in Caprice's Song of the Ingenues. We are the ingenues, our hair straight parted, blue-eyed, who live hardly known in novels one doesn't much read. We go arm in arm. A day itself is not more pure than our thoughts are at the bottom, and our dreams are azure. And we run through the meadows with babbling and titters, and we chase butterflies from dawn until vespers. Our shepherdess bonnets protect our freshness, and our frocks, almost transparent, are of an extreme whiteness. The Richelius and the Cassoades and the knights Fablas lavish their olades, salutations, and alasses, but in vain, and their exaggerated gestures go down to defeat before the ironic folds of our flouncing skirts. And our naivete mocks all, the fantasy of those who hug the walls, even if we feel occasionally, beneath the cloak, our hearts race with clandestine thoughts, knowing ourselves the future lovers of libertines. He's having fun with this section. I like it. We've moved from sad and dire to painful and to bouncy and joyful and playful. Okay. Poem 4. A great lady, so beautiful that she would tempt the saints, or trouble an old judge beneath his gown. Like an empress she walks, and like a mirror her teeth shine. Speaks Italian with a slight Russian accent. Her cold eyes, Prussian blue set in enamel, have insolent hard luster of diamonds. The splendor of her breast, the radiance of her skin, no queen or courtesan can equal. Neither kittenish Ninon nor lynx-like Cleopatra. None can match her patrician beauty, no. You know it, good Burdian. These are great ladies. You must, no middle ground, on your knees worship her. Prostrate no star in the heavens but her heavy red hair. Or else horsewhip this woman in the face. Okay, that's how we're ending it. The poem, I mean. And I would like to say this is in the form of a sonnet. He is mocking Shakespeare. Um, and I can't tell how cleverly he's doing it because I don't think he's going in the style of Shakespeare. He's definitely following him stylistically, but it feels more mocking. Like he's playing with the form, kind of joking about the sonnet itself, um, decadently describing a beautiful woman, and then, turning the love on its head, almost as in, gosh, the analysis is not flowing today. But Shakespeare's sonnets are often like veiled. Like, sure, it's love, but it's more so this guy just wanting to fuck. Um, and Verlaine is making fun of that. That's at least my conjecture. All right, poem 5. Mr. Wise Man. He is solemn. He is a mayor and the family's father. His detachable collar swallows his ears. His eyes swim, unconcerned in an endless dream, and the flowering spring shines on his slippers. What is the golden star to him? What is the arbor where the bird sings in the shade? What to him are the skies and green meadows and lawns as calm? Mr. Wiseman considers marrying his daughter to Mr. Whatsit, politically middle of the road, a young man of means, a botanist, pot-bellied. As for these rouges and good-for-nothing versifiers, these bearded idlers dressed so ill, he dreads them more than his head cold, which is perpetual, and on his slippers shines flowering spring. As for these rogues and good-for-nothing versifiers, yep, that's me, a good-for-nothing versifier. Um, and I like that Verlaine's a little lighthearted about his status, about his position in poetry. I think he's a little arrogant, but Joe, yeah, he jests about it. Because this collection starts off very heavy and very dark. Um, yeah, almost dire, very maudlin, um, grotesque, and then he turns it on his head with that final section because we move from there to other poems. So we run out of our thematic arc, I think. We go from, let's see if there's an index here. Yeah. We start with melancholia. We move to etchings, then sad landscapes, and then caprices before other poems. So truly, he starts sadly and moves to joy, which is interesting. And interesting that At a mere 22, he was so depressed. But aren't we all? Anyway, that'll be it. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.